Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Karmic Gacha system in Modern Family World. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 316, Undeck the Hall. Edward POV. Ed, when did you get here? Claire widened her eyes slightly, embarrassed at the thought that she might have made a spectacle of herself in front of me. Just now. The door was open, so I walked in to drop off the gifts. I replied, pulling my red wagon filled with numerous presents, while carrying another wrapped painting in my left hand. It won't be Christmas without gifts to show that I care. Using cheesy lines, changing my way of talking to become more gleeful, on purpose, I walked towards the siblings and saw that Luke was on the brink of tears. He leaned back on the couch, closing his eyes, and his chin quivered. I looked down, inhaled deeply, and then looked back up. But then I heard Christmas is cancelled over here at this house. Should I bring these back? Claire hesitated, glancing at her children. Accepting the gifts would imply the possibility of Christmas, but rejecting them would be a rude gesture. You can put them in the kitchen for now, Claire said affectionately, before immediately shifting her tone to scold her children. Christmas is still cancelled. If no one comes out and takes responsibility for this, I'll send all of the gifts back to Edward myself. With a slight nod of satisfaction at her own answer, Claire huffed off to the kitchen. Is it me, or did your mom seem extra sexy today? I turned to the girls and teased them. Haley rolled her eyes. It's not even funny. You just showed that you're attracted to insane, neurotic women. I nodded slightly in agreement. Yeah, my therapist said that before. So, what happened? As Alex and Luke sat, visibly saddened by their parents taking away Christmas, Haley stood up and pointed at a burnt mark on the couch. This Christmas is cancelled because of this small thing. I can't believe them. I already knew that the burn mark was caused by sunlight refracting off a glass ornament on the Christmas tree, an ornament that Frank Dunphy, their grandfather, had given them, but Phil had already pulled the tree away, cutting off my chance to point it out simply. So who smoked? I asked, feigning a puzzled expression. It's not me. Alex defended herself, a hint of panic in her voice as she glanced my way. Narrowing my eyes at her, I said, Really? Overlooked middle child. High levels of stress from academic pressures. Trouble with your boyfriend. I could keep listing reasons, or you could just admit that you smoked. I didn't smoke. Alex jumped from her seat, confronting me with manic energy. What am I, stupid? Developing a dependence on nicotine at an early age? You think I will risk destroying my brain cells? Why don't I just get pregnant at a bus station? Walk around barefoot? And only wear booty shorts? I turned to Haley, raising an eyebrow. I think that's a dig at you. Haley looked at me with disbelief, her expression a mix of frustration and exasperation. What are you even doing? Why are you making things worse? Do you not care about this? I blanked out for a moment, taking in the scene, the tension in the room, the disappointment on their faces. I still have my Christmas, right? I finally said, trying to lighten the mood. Yeah, but we don't. Luke chimed in, his voice small but filled with a sense of loss. I waved my hand dismissively at him. Don't look so glum, Luke. Remember, if you ever need help solving a case, who should you call? Luke looked confused and guessed, a detective? Right, I waited, hinting at myself with a subtle gesture. What? Luke asked, still not getting it. Alex rolled her eyes and said, he wants you to call him Sherlock, idiot. In the kitchen, Phil and Claire stood by the wall, peeking at what we were doing. Claire muttered, I told you Ed would sniff it out for us. We just have to wait. Phil replied, placing his hand on Claire's shoulder, yeah. In Edward we trust. Detective Sherlock. Please help us, Luke begged. All right. So, can someone tell me what a cigarette smells like? I asked the room. No one answered for several seconds before Haley said, pungent. It's her. Luke pointed at Haley. Get her. He lunged at her, well-intentioned but with murder in his eyes. Haley immediately backtracked and hid behind me. I held Luke by his head, stopping him from moving closer. Calm down, Luke. You don't want Santa to put you on the naughty list, do you? It doesn't take a detective to figure out that killing your sister will land you there permanently. I didn't do it, you maniac. Haley scolded Luke while still hiding behind me. Alex moved closer to the couch, sniffing the burnt mark. There's nothing left behind other than some charred fabric smell. Good. Alex's brain is finally working, I teased. You're pretty smart yourself. Did you panic too much and forget to check the crime scene, gathering the evidence needed to defend yourself? You might need to cross lawyers or forensics off your future career list. In the kitchen, Claire mumbled, "It's not a cigarette?" Phil sighed and replied, "We kinda jumped into accusing the kids without checking the sofa first." Alex glared at me. How can I think straight when Mom and Dad are constantly yelling at us? I didn't even want to enter either of those paths in the first place. The parents felt a pang of guilt at her words. Alex continued to touch the burn mark, running her finger over it. There's no flaky ash either. So this is definitely not from a cigarette. I nodded. Focus on the burn mark. Look at the intensity of the charring in that circular area. Did you see anything strange there? Luke, you do it. Luke calmed down and inspected the mark. It's just black. Pay attention to the degree of the charring. Some spots are more charred than others, I instructed. It's all the same. Luke muttered with a slight frustration. Wait. This part is harder than the rest. That must be the focal point. I muttered. Alex's eyes darted as she thought it through, and especially after hearing focal point. Then she exclaimed, "Oh my God. I figured it out. Mom!" She dashed toward the kitchen. Not wanting to pull the parents into it just yet, I instinctively reached out to stop her. Unfortunately, all I could grab was her ponytail, and I accidentally yanked her hair back. Ow! Motherphew! Alex almost cursed when Claire, who had been watching the whole thing, instinctively interrupted, "Alex." She quickly cupped her mouth and pulled her head back from peering around the wall, taking Phil with her. What? Alex turned toward the kitchen, confused. She can hear that, she mumbled. Chuckling slightly, I said, since Alex figured it out. I'll just go home now. I hope that you guys will work together to save Christmas in your house. I still have to drop off the present to your grandpa, then your uncle's, you get it? Alex, Luke and Haley looked at me with confusion. Luke asked, "Why are you speaking all weird?" Alex nodded in agreement to Luke and said, "Yeah. His pitch is higher. He smiles all the time." And you seem weirdly absorbed in Christmas, Haley muttered. She looked at my smiling face and then she figured it out. Her face shifted as if she was looking at an idiot. "Oh my God, are you really doing this?" Doing what? Alex turned to Haley and asked immediately. Act out like he's in the Hallmark Christmas movie. Haley told Alex angrily, although the anger was directed at me. You cannot keep this up till the end of the day. She turned and challenged me. In the past few days, we had been talking about the holiday movies using texts, and I mentioned to her that I wanted to act like I was in one of them today. I smirked and wore a flannel I kept in the red wagon. Haley. This is a day of generosity, compassion. Get out. Haley chased me away. If you want to be weird, you can do that elsewhere. As you wish, madam. I said before I turned to Alex. Now, the knowledge that you possess will either allow you to successfully save Christmas, or what? Alex was intrigued. I smirked and said, or, you can keep that to yourself for some advantages. Alex thought about it for a while, but she cannot figure it out. Sorry, I'm not a master manipulator. Can you explain that briefly? Come here. I gestured with my finger. As she closed her distance, I whispered into her ear. Her eyes widened as she heard about my schemes. You're the devil. She took a step back and looked at me warily. I laughed, keeping up the innocent smile, and said, You're funny, Alex. Alright, I'll see you guys later. Merry Christmas, everyone. After going to Phil and Claire and wishing them too, I walked back to my house, and suddenly heard Mr. Klezak cursing after a loud crash resounded from inside his house. I stopped and sighed. Damn it. I have to go there now since I'm in character. No small-town Christmas lover with a heart of gold would just watch a struggling old man without trying to help, right? Walking toward Mr. Klezak's house, I knocked on his door 3 times. What do you want? The grumpy old man shouted, his annoyance evident. I'm not here to ask for donations, nothing about charity, just your neighbor. I shouted back. After some clattering from inside, the tanned, 5 feet 6 inches old man with white hair and a permanent frown opened the door. He stared at me, his expression a mix of irritation and disbelief. Who are you? Even though I was incredibly famous, not everyone knew who I was. I smiled, unbothered, and said, I'm Edward Newgate. I'm your neighbor's kid. Newgate? Theodore's son? He scrutinized me from head to toe, skepticism written all over his face. Theodore's son is in school. Confused, I replied, I am. I'm almost 15. What? Mr. Klezak exclaimed, clearly shocked. You don't look 15. You look 20. Ignoring his reaction, I asked, I heard some loud noises, so I stopped by. Do you need any help, Mr. Klezak? He turned evasive, not that he was ever friendly. You should go home. Don't bother me. As I glanced inside his house, I noticed towers of DVDs and VCR cassettes stacked all around the living room, and the static on his old TV screen flickered in the dim light. Do you have a problem with your TV? I can fix that for you in just 5 minutes, I said, pushing aside his reluctance. What? Really? He eyed me with suspicion. I don't want you messing around in my house. Just as he tried to shut the door in my face, I barged in and made a beeline for his old CRT TV. Hey! Kid! He walked slowly, dragging his oxygen tank with him. By the time he arrived at the TV, I had already restored his TV channel. Although it was grainy, the picture had come back. Oh! You can actually fix it! He muttered. Give me a screwdriver and I can fix it permanently. I replied with a smile. General POV. After Edward left, Alex went to her parents to bring back Christmas. Hey, Alex. Claire pretended to be mad and asked, Did you guys figure out who burned the couch? Phil stammered, We know, but before he could finish, Claire elbowed him in the stomach to silence him. Phil and Claire's commentary. Claire glanced at Phil with slight frustration before saying, If Phil were the one to say that we know no one smoked, our parental authority would crumble. Phil felt like a hostage and replied, Claire can't let that happen, especially not since we took Christmas away from the kids. Claire sighed. Parents make mistakes. But sometimes, we can't admit it was a mistake because a child might hold it against us and stop listening to our words. If Alex just tells us what really happened, we can pretend it was all a misunderstanding and quickly brush the topic aside, Phil said with a smile. Commentary ends. Alex narrowed her eyes at Claire before saying, Yeah. We know who did it. Who, Alex? Claire asked. Phil, excited, said, Yeah. Was it you guys? Did it happen accidentally, or was it just a mishap? It was me, Alex confessed, shocking Luke and Haley, who had followed her from behind, as well as Phil and Claire. What? Phil mumbled, stunned. Alex nodded slightly and said, I found a cigarette at school, and when no one was home, I tried it. I guess I held it too close to the couch. I'm so sorry. She pretended to apologize, which made her parents' faces fall. Alex's commentary. Do they really think they'll get away with this so easily? Ed told me that if I admit to their accusation of smoking, they'll bring back Christmas. But when tomorrow morning comes, and the couch gets burned again, I can pretty much get anything I want from them. She smiled. And what I want is a library in my room. Commentary ends. You can take my Christmas away, but don't take it from everyone else, Alex pretended sadly. Phil and Claire blinked in surprise as they heard it. Phil and Claire's commentary. She's onto us, Claire said. She knows we're in the wrong, she added, panicking. Alex's innocent smile felt like something out of a horror movie to Claire. Phil sighed. We're fuck. Commentary ends. That is very noble of you to care about the family, but you still smoked and lied. That's really bad, Phil scolded her in a low-energy voice. Claire was silent for a moment before she asked again, Alex, did you really smoke? Startled by her mother's serious gaze, Alex remembered Edward's advice and nodded again. Yeah. I did it. Suddenly, Haley pulled on Alex's wrist, causing her to turn to her sister. Alex, I can't let you do this. Mom, Dad, I was the one who burned the couch. What? Claire and Phil exclaimed in astonishment at Haley's sudden confession. Alex grimaced in confusion and said, What? Haley's commentary. I don't know who burned the couch, she admitted. But I know how to read Alex, she added. If this is a real smoke burn, then she'll shiver and speak timidly, not tackle it head-on like she is right now. Whatever she has planned, I want in too. Commentary ends. Haley? You burned the couch? Claire asked, disbelief evident in her voice. Haley nodded and said, Yeah. I was using a curling iron in the living room, and I guess I must have touched the couch with it for too long. I'm sorry, Mom, Dad. Claire smiled slightly. Curling iron? Alex was horrified. No. It was me. I burned that couch. No. It was me. I did it. Haley argued back. Luke suddenly chimed in, No. It was me. I played with some matches and burned down the entire house. Phil and Claire blanked out again. What? Claire grimaced in confusion. Alex looked at Luke in disbelief. No one burned down the house. Ah, right. The couch. I burned the couch, Luke corrected himself. Luke's commentary. I don't know what's going on, but I want in. Alex's commentary. They're going to ruin everything. Commentary ends. With a slight smirk, Claire suddenly yelled, Enough. Everyone stopped arguing and quieted down. Phil smiled and said, First of all, I just want to say how proud I am. All of you are prepared to sacrifice your Christmas for the sake of your siblings. No, that's not. Before Alex could argue, Claire hugged all three of them tightly. I'm sorry for yelling at you guys. Obviously, none of you did it. We should have believed you when you told us that. We're really touched, so we've decided to bring back Christmas for you all. We won't bring up who burned down the couch anymore, Claire added. We're dropping it, so none of you will be punished for it. We won't? Phil was confused at first but then realized he could use this as an opportunity to escape trouble. We won't. Now, everyone. Help me grab the tree. We're bringing back Christmas. Yay! Haley and Luke cheered, excitement bubbling over as they followed Phil out of the kitchen, leaving only Alex and Claire behind. Claire glanced at Alex, a knowing look in her eyes. Nice try. I'm sorry, what are you referring to? Alex asked, already resigned to the fact that her attempt to outsmart her mother had failed. Claire knew that if she brought up the incident again, Alex could easily point out that they had all been accused despite their innocence. They stared at each other intensely, the air thick with unspoken words and the sparks of their silent standoff. Edward POV. I fixed the TV by climbing on the roof and fixing the antenna, however, his VCR was also broken. That's why he was so frustrated in not getting a channel before. Here. He handed me $20 as I climbed down from the roof. For your troubles, he said. Thank you, I replied, accepting the money even though I didn't need it. I knew better than to mess with an old man's ego. I'll come back with some tools to fix the VCR after I drop off the presents. You don't have to do that, Mr. Klezak said, his tone dismissive. Go home. Don't feel bad thinking I was going to miss out on Christmas by being here. My grandmother kicked me out because I was bothering her. I'd rather be doing something than just wandering around. Mr. Klezak paused, then asked, Really? By framing it as a favor to me, he seemed more comfortable with letting me return. Yeah. Also, when I come back, I'll bring you some of her brisket. It's so good and tender that you won't even need your dentures. I exaggerated a bit, which made him let out a small chuckle. Before I left, I made sure to grab some keys in case he fell asleep. It seemed I had gained his trust, or maybe he was just confident that nothing valuable was in the house. I wasn't sure which. His children didn't want to come to his house, and he couldn't travel to theirs, so he was spending Christmas alone. When I returned, I planned to bring my grandpa with me. They were both veterans, and I was sure my grandpa would invite him to our place for Christmas. If I did it, it might feel insulting to him, like a kid inviting you over on a holiday because you look lonely. Driving to Mitch and Cam's, I ran into the skinny Santa, Scott, who Mitchell and Cam had gotten fired from the mall for not looking like Santa. Then I headed to Jay's place, where Manny was pranking Jay as part of a Christmas tradition from Colombia. I wasn't sure if that was true, but Manny believed it. You should come by our house tonight when we set off the fireworks, Manny said as I was leaving, standing in the open doorway. I'll be there. Midnight, right? I'll make sure. Before I could finish, I noticed a white raven perched on the hood of my car. As if to deliver a message, it took off into the sky. Manny, I don't think I can make it, I told him. I have somewhere else to be, and it's pretty important so I can't skip it. General POV. Inside a small, white room, a giant man with sheep's horns curling from his head busily decorated the space with wreaths and vibrant red and green flags. As he worked, he sang cheerfully, "'Tis the time to be jolly. Fa-la-la-la-la, la-la-la, Edward is coming to be punished. Fa-la-la-la, la-la-la." Chapter 317, Christmas Eve. Edward POV. Mr. Klezak stayed for an early dinner at 5, and by 6, he was spent. My grandpa walked him home. They had become friends during dinner. I had fixed his VCR and DVD player, and he looked much happier sitting on the couch watching TV than doing anything else. Surprisingly, there were some programs on his VCR that had been lost during the programming shift in the 70s. He gladly gave them to me to make copies. Ed, did you send out all of your gifts? My grandmother, Grandma Jules, slowly sat next to me on the couch. We were gathered around the TV to watch a Christmas special, A Charlie Brown Christmas. Yeah. Grandma, are you sure you don't want a mansion? I can get you a mansion, I said with a mischievous smile. Grandma Jules laughed. I appreciate the offer, but I don't want to move to California. My grandpa chimed in from the single-seat couch on the side. I told you, Ed, stop trying to get your grandma to move here. Just then, the doorbell rang. Hello? Everyone. Merry Christmas. Why don't you offer me a mansion? Amy interjected, looking annoyed. Why would I? I looked at her with disbelief. By the way, Amy, I've been meaning to ask. Ask what? She replied without turning away from the movie. What's it like working as an elf in Santa's factory? I asked casually as I grabbed some popcorn. What? Amy shot back, irritation in her voice. Is this because I'm short? She turned to glare at me. I mean, yeah, I teased. Amy threw a cushion at me, which I caught just in time. I placed it behind Grandma for support. Here you go, Grandma. Ah. You're so sweet, Edward, Grandma said affectionately. Amy shot me a burning look, but I ignored her. Just then, my dad and Frankie entered through the front door. My dad gleefully said, "Hello, everyone. Merry Christmas." "Dad, you're done with the Christmas party?" I asked with a teasing smile. "Why didn't Frankie come back with you?" He looked startled, glancing to the side, and then startled again as she saw her standing there. Frankie raised an eyebrow, confused about why he fell for that. "You didn't drink there, did you?" she asked, narrowing her eyes. As he took off his coat, my dad replied awkwardly, "No. I didn't. I'm just tired, that's all." Grandma Jules excitedly approached Frankie. "Frankie, my dear, I'm very much looking forward to spending Christmas with you today." She gave Frankie a slight hug, which Frankie awkwardly accepted. "Thank you, Jules," Frankie replied. "Though I have to admit, I felt a bit bad sleeping here when there's already no more room." "Don't be ridiculous. You can stay with me in the guest room. Maggie and Amy are sleeping in Edward's room. Edward can stay with his grandpa in Ted's room." "What about me?" my dad asked, disbelief evident in his voice. "I didn't even get to stay in my own room?" "Ted, you can sleep on the couch," Grandma said dismissively, her focus still on Frankie. "Grandma must be aiming to get more grandbabies," Amy whispered teasingly. "You won't be the favorite anymore." "What are you talking about?" "I'm always going to be the favorite," I replied, confused as to why she thought my throne would be usurped by a baby. No little one could threaten my position. "By the way, it's lucky that Uncle Aaron didn't come," Amy added. "Or he'd have to sleep in the hot tub. He doesn't want to leave his back door." I already invited him. I suddenly remembered that Taylor owned the house next door, which had been empty for a while since she either lived in Texas or with Selena. "Back door?" Amy asked, puzzled. "His girlfriend," Grandpa Sam explained, having listened to our conversation. "It's fine. May and Jim are staying behind to celebrate with him." "Amy, don't you feel a bit sad your parents aren't here for Christmas?" "No. Not at all," Amy replied, her expression souring as she clearly didn't want to discuss her parents. They had argued again before she came here. She was practically escaping. Grandpa sighed, choosing not to pursue the topic any further. "Why don't Ted and I just sleep together in the same room?" Frankie started to say, but I widened my eyes and shook my head urgently at her. She stopped abruptly, noticing my grandmother gasp. "You mean, sleeping together in sin before you get married?" Grandma looked horrified. No. I'm not saying that." Frankie stammered. My dad suddenly laughed, adding, "Frankie, she's messing with you." Grandma chuckled after Dad's revelation. "I'm just kidding, dear. Of course, no one will sleep on the couch. Edward has a spare mattress in his room," she explained. "Yeah, the two girls are going to share that on the floor," I teased. Amy shot back, "Don't make me put a pillow on your face when you sleep. Since we're all here, why don't we have a proper dinner this time?" Grandma suggested. "Maggie's not here," Amy corrected her, but Grandma chose to ignore that. Grandma clasped her hands in excitement. "Oh. After dinner, Edward can play the piano, and we can all sing Silent Night together." "Grandma, did you hear me?" Amy asked, puzzled. My grandpa looked shocked. "What?" "Jules, we never did that. All we ever did for Christmas Eve is stuff ourselves and go to sleep. I think it's time for a new tradition, Sam. All I can think about these last few weeks is how horrible it is what Edward has to go through. We need this. It's either this or we can go to midnight mass." My grandpa quickly interjected, "All right." He turned to me and said, "Ed, you'll play the piano and sing after this." "I'm not singing." "I have no problem with that," I replied casually. Just then, Maggie came home during dinner, slightly drunk, and excitedly gorging herself on the food. Grandma nagged at her the whole time, in disbelief that she went drinking when she's only 19. While we were eating, I suddenly received a text message from Robin. My eyebrows furrowed as I read it. "Excuse me, but I think I have to excuse myself right now. I need to check something out." "Huh? Why?" my dad asked, confusion evident in his voice. "What about the sing-along?" Grandma added, her eyes full of disappointment. I smiled slightly and reassured her, "I'll be back in an hour tops. Maybe less." I walked over to Grandma and kissed her gently on the cheek. Frankie and Dad followed me to the door as I put on my coat. "What happened? Where are you going?" Dad inquired. The company," I replied curtly. "Is it a cyber attack again?" "You know Robin can handle that," Frankie interjected, trying to gauge the urgency of the situation. "No. It's not an attack. I'm just going to check on something. I'll be back quickly, I promise," I said before stepping outside. My dad sighed, and Frankie comforted him. "You know he won't leave his family unless it's really important." "I know that," my dad said, shaking his head slightly. "I'm just thinking that if he's late, we all have to go to Midnight, Massachusetts." "Ed! Come back quickly!" Frankie shouted after me. I waved at her in promise before hopping into the Mustang. There was light traffic due to last-minute Christmas shoppers, but I still managed to get there in under 15 minutes by skillfully navigating alleyways, even getting chased by a cop for a while. Foreseeing this, I thought about how easily I could change my plate number, just like in the movie Taxi. As I drove, I called Taylor. "Hey! Merry Christmas," I greeted. "What do you want?" she replied immediately. "Your house next door," I responded, with sirens blaring from behind me. "That's not going to be a problem for me," I replied, already planning to break into the place. The company was mostly empty since it was the holidays. Those who were there had chosen to come in. I had given everyone the day off for Christmas. They loved working for me, and the overtime pay for holiday shifts didn't hurt either. "Happy holidays, boss." "What brings you here?" the guard, Samuel, asked as I parked the car in front of the company building. "I just left something behind," I replied politely. "What are you still doing here, Samuel?" "Go home. Be with your family." "Oh no, I'm escaping my brother-in-law. He always makes me feel small." "I'm not going back until I know he's already sleeping," Samuel joked. "Small? Really? You're 6 feet 7 inches. How can you be smaller than him?" I laughed. Samuel chuckled in response but didn't say anything more. Swiping my access card, I took the lift all the way to the dance studio. As I entered, I saw Vanessa lying face down on the floor, motionless. The sound of my footsteps echoed in the silent room as I approached her and crouched beside her. "What are you doing?" I asked, concern creeping into my voice. "Why aren't you with your family?" She just grunted in response. "Let me guess, your grandparents canceled their plans to come here," I said, sitting next to her cross-legged and attempting to comfort her. Her grandparents were still upset about her pictures getting leaked, and they blamed her for it. Vanessa turned her head slightly, peeking at me before asking, "Why are you here?" "Leave me alone." "What about your parents? They couldn't come either?" I pressed, ignoring her plea. Vanessa buried her face back into the floor, unwilling to speak. I stayed with her for a while until she finally turned toward me again. "My uncle called me a slut. Want me to kill him?" I offered light-heartedly. Vanessa furrowed her brows and finally turned to face me fully. I added with a playful smile, "You know, as a Christmas gift. I'll wrap his head nicely in a box." "Don't even joke about that," she sighed in exasperation. "So you ran away from home?" I guessed. "No. They wouldn't even let me be there," she replied, her voice trembling on the brink of tears. "They don't want anything to do with me. I thought my parents were okay with it, that they could accept me." Before she could finish, she hid her face again and sobbed. They flew to the Philippines to celebrate Christmas there and left her all alone in California. "So you came here to dance the sadness away?" I asked jokingly, patting her shoulder to comfort her. Robin had told me that Vanessa was practicing her choreography vigorously for hours, slipped, possibly hurt her leg, and had been lying here for almost half an hour before contacting me. Vanessa didn't respond to my question, instead jerking her body away in annoyance, trying to push my hand off her shoulder. I waited until she calmed down and stopped crying before continuing. "What more did your uncle say?" I asked. "And if you don't answer me, I might just go confront him myself. Maybe not a Christmas box, but one way or another, he's getting put in his place." Vanessa hesitated, unsure whether to speak. "Come on. Spit it out," I urged. Slowly, she sat up and wiped her teary eyes with her sleeves. "He said I'm a gold-digging mistress." "Huh? Did you date a rich man?" I was confused. Vanessa looked at me in disbelief before it dawned on me. "Ah, I'm the rich man. What did he say exactly?" I pressed again, but Vanessa remained silent, avoiding my gaze. "Okay, you don't have to tell me," I said, brushing the topic aside for now. "Is your leg okay?" It still hurts a bit," she replied. "Here, wear this." I took off my coat and handed it to her. She was in a tank top and yoga pants, and I examined her legs briefly. "It's better if you don't put any pressure on it tonight." "It's fine. I'll just stay here." Before she could finish, I interrupted, "Where's your stuff?" "You're coming back home with me for Christmas." Vanessa widened her eyes. "Wait. Ed." As the lift opened, I walked out, carrying Vanessa over my shoulder like baggage. "Edward. Put me down. This is kidnapping." She protested, kicking her legs in the air. "Samuel, can you open the door for me?" I asked the guard politely. "Samuel, don't do it," Vanessa warned, but Samuel just smiled and focused on me. "Ah, I see you finally found what you left behind." He opened the door and added, "Have a blessed holiday, little boss." "Thanks." "You too, Samuel," I replied with a smile as I headed to my Mustang, ignoring the gawking worker who was watching the whole scene. "Edward. I don't want to go. Don't make me." Vanessa continued to struggle, begging as I opened the passenger door and pushed her inside. "You're coming with me whether you like it or not. You should have taken my kind offer to carry you properly before," I said before slamming the door in her face. Vanessa yanked the door handle, but it was locked. I got into the driver's seat moments later and drove back to my house casually. She slapped my arm repeatedly and said, "That was so embarrassing. Everyone was watching. I can't even. Why did you do that? You bastard." I chuckled and advised, "You better think about what to wear when we sing Silent Night together. I'm making you sit at the piano with me." "No, and I'm never doing that," she protested, crossing her arms together. "You are," I replied decisively. Vanessa shook her head vehemently and said, "Over my dead body. Then you're going to die today." "You're not making me." "I kinda am." "No." "Yes." "Never." She protested, and we went silent for a while before I said, "I think Amy's clothes will fit you." "Maybe." Vanessa ended up on the piano seat with me despite her protests. My grandma welcomed her with open arms, showering her with love. And she insisted that Vanessa take a shower first when she first arrived before giving her a pink unicorn pajama. Vanessa practiced her dance routine for hours, so she has that sweaty smell following her around. Extremely embarrassed by her own state, she couldn't say anything to protest that lovely woman. Only after that did we all sing together, drinking eggnog and hot chocolate together. Grandma bought pajamas for all of us. Mine was a black set with horizontal stripes, Amy's had kittens, and Maggie chose one decorated with cakes. Even Vader got dressed up for Christmas tomorrow, thanks to Grandma. We all stood together and took some pictures for the family album, titled Christmas in California. After breaking into Taylor's place, Maggie, Amy, and Vanessa decided to sleep there instead of sharing a room with me. Maggie walked in with Amy first, shouting, "Ness, I'm going to make hot chocolate. Or should we drink the eggnog I swiped from the house?" Vanessa ignored her and turned to me. "Thank you for inviting me," Vanessa said, standing in front of the door. "You're welcome."
Don't run away tonight. My grandma wants you there in the morning too, I teased.
Suddenly, Vanessa leaned in closer and kissed me on the cheek.
What was that for? I asked playfully.
We're under a mistletoe, she replied, blushing.
Good night.
Then she slammed the door before I could see inside. I smiled after she shut the door. Taylor's not here for months. There's no way she could have put up any decorations. It was almost midnight when they arrived at Taylor's place. I told my dad I was going to have one of my episodes again tonight, and he insisted on watching over me.
A creepy old man staring at me while I sleep? Can I say no to that? I joked. This is the last time.
If this goes smoothly, I'll finally accept it as one of your special traits and stop worrying about it, Dad replied.
What would Frankie think?
Leaving her alone on the bed on Christmas night while she wears her special nightie, waiting for you? I planted that image in my dad's head, but he managed to resist temptation. Frankie will understand, he said sternly. I groaned and slumped to my room when the doorbell rang.
Huh? Who is it? Dad asked, alarmed, and walked to the front door, with me closely following.
As he opened the door, a brunette woman exclaimed, "Surprise!"
Max. I widened my eyes and broke into a smile. Edward.
She rushed over and hugged me tightly.
Hunky daddy.
She then hugged my dad after releasing me.
You said you couldn't make it, I said, surprised.
I already made a few plans to get my revenge, even starting the process to buy your building to kick you out, I added playfully.
You did what? Max exclaimed in shock. Not important, I dismissed the topic.
How did you get here? I drove here, she replied with a toothy smile.
From New York? Dad was astonished.
It took 3 days to get here, Max grinned.
What?
I turned to see Caroline passed out in the driver's seat, her mouth wide open with drool flowing out, not even realizing that they had arrived. They borrowed an early 2000 Kia Visto from a friend since there weren't any cheap flights left, and both of them were broke.
You should have texted me. I can arrange a flight for you both. I hugged her again. Max smiled and said, Now.
I didn't want to come in the first place, but since the crime scene is now gone, I can finally return.
Crime scene?
My dad mumbled in confusion. I laughed slightly while Max awkwardly tried to distract my dad.
Suddenly, I felt my eyes getting hazy. This has never happened before, I usually sleep on my own. That was my last thought before my eyes went dark. General POV. Ed. Ted quickly caught Edward's body before it hit the ground.
Max widened her eyes in shock as she saw Edward passed out.
Edward.
Max, hold his other arm, Ted asked as he crouched on one knee, pushing Edward's chest upward as his body went limp.
Oh, okay. Max quickly complied, her voice trembling. Is he dead? No. It's just his low energy mode. Ted forced a smile to calm Max down. We should get him to his bed. Are you sure? Should we take him to the hospital? Max asked anxiously.
Let's check his pulse first, Ted replied.
Ed told me to do that before doing anything else.
As he placed Edward onto the bed, he attached a heart monitor to his chest.
There is a pulse, Ted announced with relief. Max breathed heavily and said, Oh my God. That was so scary. Max, can you monitor him for a minute?
I'll bring Caroline in and shut the door, Ted said. He arranged for Caroline to sleep with the girls and reassured Maggie and Vanessa, who were worried about Edward after hearing what happened.
Inside the room, Max poked Edward's cheek and called out, Edward? Are you pretending to sleep? Are you in the afterlife?
She poked his cheek repeatedly, but the heart monitor showed no changes. I need to pee, Max whimpered, clasping her knees together. She had been on the road for 8 hours without a toilet break. Ted, come back, she whispered.
Suddenly, Edward's body jolted, pushing Max away. What? Max gasped in shock.
Before she could call for help, Edward's body floated off the bed, and her mind went blank. Like a scene from a horror movie, Edward was levitating above the bed. Max's eyes rolled back as she fainted on the floor beside him. Then, Edward's body fell back down and everything seemed normal again. Chapter 318, Krampus, Gacha, Promotion Test. Edward POV. Although I imagined waking up in a white room, I found myself in the middle of a snowstorm instead, stranded in the middle of nowhere. Shivering intensely, I trudged through the storm until I spotted a cottage nearby. My teeth chattered, and my face paled, my skin felt like it was turning blue from the cold. I approached the cottage slowly and knocked on the door. Bang, bang, bang. The door creaked open without anyone answering, so I hurried inside and shut the door behind me. Good God! At least give me a horse I could cut open and sleep inside, I muttered, rushing to the fireplace to start a fire. My hands shook as I fumbled with the matches I found nearby. The first match broke as I tried to light it. Taking a deep breath to calm myself, I struck the second match and successfully lit it before tossing it into the fireplace. Before long, flames flickered to life, and warmth spread throughout the cottage. Wrapping myself in a checkered blanket I found, I stood in front of the fire, trying to soak in the heat. I thought I was supposed to be in the afterlife, spinning some roulette. Why am I here? I mumbled, glancing around the cozy space. Suddenly, I noticed a stack of files on the table alongside a glass of milk and a cookie that definitely hadn't been there before. The file had my name on it. I picked up the warm glass of milk to thaw my hands and bit into the cookie before opening the file. However, I was distracted by the carving on top of the fireplace that I couldn't see when it was still dark before. Belsnickel Cottage? I was surprised when I read who the cottage belonged to. Am I in the North Pole? Will I meet Santa here? I chortled a bit before reading the file. Name, Edward Newgate. Affiliation, Senior Agent of the Afterlife Corps. Level 2. Current status. Singer/game-maker/inventor/apps developer/chef/role model/government precious asset/influencer/world-famous celebrity/Caltech aspirant/scientist/backstory addict/storyteller/cult-like leader/survivor, 4 more. Positive karma, 2.3 billion, 500 million in storage. Negative karma, minus 72 million. Followers, 30 million people. Afterlife benefit. Ability to trade with the afterlife using karmic points, 2 times per year. 1/2 used. Storage increased to 1 billion karmic points. Access to Samsara tree. Participation in the next Nexus event. Followers? I have 75 million followers on Instagram, though, so this number isn't accurate, I mumbled as I flipped through the pages. How did I get to level 2? I furrowed my eyebrows in confusion. Maybe this followers thing has something to do with it? As I scrutinized the sheet, I inhaled deeply and took another bite of the cookie. The cookie was so dry that I needed half of the milk in the glass to wash it down. It wasn't even sweet, it tasted like bark. But I'd been raised by Sanji not to waste any food, so I kept going until I finished it. Nexus event? Samsara tree? I muttered in confusion after reading the upgraded information. My eyes widened slightly in excitement as I saw the trading ability. That means I can buy another talent shredder, right? I said excitedly. After reading my gacha list, I focused on the 2 talents I wanted to remove. Purple Quality Gacha, Joey Tribbiani, 3-month expiry date for relationship special talent. Red Quality Gacha, Joey Tribbiani, enjoy life by never finding the one true love, or getting married talent. Should I remove the time limit or the certainty that the one I dated won't be the one? I mumbled to myself. As time dragged on, there were still no signs of the gacha session. How do I get out of this? I muttered, glancing around the room while still wrapped in the blanket. Is it the Christmas tree? I approached the tree adorned with red and gold ornaments, but when I touched them, I realized they were just ordinary decorations. What's going on? I asked, frustration creeping in. What am I supposed to do here?
My teeth chattered as the room remained intensely cold despite the fire. I settled in front of it, the only place where I could feel any warmth. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the fire went out. What? White smoke escaped my mouth, and frost began to creep across my skin. Damn it! I tried to reignite the fire, but it was no use. Ice started to form around the room, slowly encroaching on where I sat. Damn it! I want to end the... I shouted, realizing I could escape if I could just end the session. But before I could do that, a huge, bony hand shot out of the fireplace, emerging from the chimney. The wrinkled, monstrous hand with long nails wrapped tightly around my head. Before I could react, it yanked me into the fireplace, and I disappeared from the cottage. Meanwhile, my body floated in the real world, scaring Max unconscious, a fact I wouldn't learn until later. Edward Newgate. Krampus, the demon of Christmas, loomed over me, his half-goat, half-demon form towering at 10 meters tall. He pulled me slowly toward his giant, sharp-toothed mouth, invoking a primal fear within me. Ah! I shouted as he nearly swallowed me whole. But just before he could do that, I heard a German accent shout, "Release him, Krampus. He is not impish this year." I turned to see Belsnickel tied to a Christmas tree, gingerbread demons poking at him angrily. Krampus halted, turning his attention to Belsnickel. In a deep, grating voice, he said, "He is impish." Nah. I'm not naughty. I shook my head vigorously, my face devoid of color. Krampus looked surprised and replied, "That's impossible." He placed me down roughly, making me stumble to the ground. Then he slid over to Belsnickel and growled, "He's here to be punished." "But he's not on ZE naughty list," Belsnickel protested, despite his evident fear. Sorry. But I'm supposed to be here for the afterlife session." I didn't know I would be judged, I interjected with a wry smile as I stood up properly. "At the very least, it isn't very cold here," I muttered. The room was filled with snow globes, the size of a beach ball. I peeked into one of them. I saw the silhouette of a human, presumably punished by Krampus. My heart raced as I walked toward the two towering beings. "So I think I'm just going to go." I gulped my saliva despite trying to look calm, and then said, "I want to end the session." After I read his letter, I studied a bit about Krampus. He was Santa's counterpart who would kidnap naughty children and drag them to the underworld. Many people thought of him as a monster. I had some reservation on making judgment as he was part of the Afterlife Corps, but now that I've met him, there is judgment. Krampus was surprised that I asked to end the session, however, he just laughed disdainfully as time passed by and I was still there. "You cannot get out without my permission." Gleeful at my misery, Krampus's shoulder moved as he laughed. I'm going to run." I pointed at the door casually. "Nice to meet you, Belsnickel." I waved at the dirty bearded man and he looked blankly at me. "Bye." Krampus's hand reached out for me again, and I ducked instantly before running away. The gingerbread man tried to block me, but they were 10 inches tall. I crushed one of them with my leg and grabbed the knife he had with him. "Get back here!" Krampus shouted, swinging his massive hand around the room in an attempt to capture me. I grabbed multiple butter knives and sharp objects, hurling them at Belsnickel to try and cut the ropes binding him. The gingerbread man regenerated and charged at me again. I scoffed, "This might be a problem for me if my mentor isn't Luffy. I wonder if you can still regenerate once I eat you." Horrified by my threat, the gingerbread man stopped in his tracks, gasped, and bolted in the opposite direction. The sharp objects I threw did nothing. The rope was too thick, and the utensils were too small. Why do I feel like I'm in Jack the Giant Slayer? I muttered, running in circles as Krampus chased me. Grunting with frustration, I yelled, "Ah! How can I get out of here?" I picked up random items and threw them at Krampus, but none were effective until I grabbed a snow globe. Herg, grunting as I picked up the heavy snow globe over my head, I threw it far towards Krampus. However, it was leaning left and wasn't going to hit him. Hop! Krampus leaped to the side to catch the snowball, finally pausing for a moment. Oh ho!
I smirked devilishly, noticing the sweat on his forehead.
Oh okay.
You can leave, Krampus stammered, but I seized the opportunity and threw another snow globe to his left.
Hop! He jumped again to grab the globe.
I dashed through the shelves, pushing every snow globe I could reach. Motherphew, Krampus cursed as he scrambled to collect the globes before they shattered. With him distracted, I rushed to Belsnickel and began untying the ropes around him.
Use ZE scissors,
Belsnickel urged. I snatched a golden pair of scissors, larger than my torso, and cut the restraints.
Belsnickel laughed as he broke free. Judgment is nigh, for Belsnickel is.
Before he could finish, Krampus tackled him, and they began grappling on the floor. I let out a breath of relief, watching Belsnickel fight back, and sat on one of the shelves.
I caught a gingerbread man trying to escape and took a bite, starting from its legs.
It struggled and screamed in fear as I munched on it. Suddenly, a human silhouette inside a nearby snow globe knocked on the glass, trying to get my attention. I turned toward it, and the silhouette morphed into the figure of a boy, around 10 years old.
Help! Please, help me, he begged.
Startled, I dropped the gingerbread man, who quickly crawled away in relief, and approached the snow globe.
Sorry, can you see me? I asked. Yeah. Please help me. That monster kidnapped me from my house and killed my parents. Please. Please.
The boy's face was streaked with tears.
My eyes widened as I realized there were thousands of snow globes in the room.
My expression faltered, and I looked at Krampus with disgust. Stay back, I said, grabbing the scissors again and jamming them into the snow globe. The glass cracked, and the boy smiled in relief, holding back his tears before he whispered, "Thank you," and vanished.
Stop! Krampus yelled as I shattered another snow globe. A blonde girl smiled before disappearing as well.
I said stop, he shouted, pushing Belsnickel's head to the ground.
Stop, or I will kill him.
His words made me hesitate, but Belsnickel shouted, no need to stop.
Please, save the children. Stop, Newgate. What you're doing is useless.
Even if you help them break free now, I can still come back and take them again, Krampus said after I broke the 18th snow globe. I split the scissor into two, turning them into blades, and cut off the top of the snow globes with my sword skills.
20 globes were broken before Krampus could even finish his words.
I finally stopped and turned toward him. I swear I will kill you before that. My voice was cold, and it cut through his amusement. He laughed gratingly and replied, "You cannot kill me, child."
Oh, maybe not now.
But I'm sure I can get Gong Shin and Sage to help me out.
I don't think they know what you're doing here, do they?
I threatened.
Belsnickel, still pinned to the floor, added, "They don't know." Tell them. Just leave through the door. You will find them.
I nodded at Belsnickel, but before I could run, Krampus said, "Wait.
How about a deal?
Even if you call them, I could kill thousands. No, hundreds of thousands with me before they arrive."
What deal? I asked warily after thinking for a while.
You, in exchange for them all, he offered, pointing at me with his claw.
Belsnickel tried to protest, but Krampus covered his mouth. I cannot keep you for long.
The others will find me, he continued.
So, how about 3 months? Krampus proposed. 3 months in the underworld. And I promise not to kidnap any children. And how long will 3 months in the underworld be in my real life?
I asked, knowing there had to be a catch.
Krampus's eyes turned into crescent moon smiles. Sharp, he muttered. I want you more. He added, 3 months in your real life too. What condition will I be in while I'm there? I pressed. Coma, Krampus replied.
I thought it over before asking. You won't kidnap, drag, or torture any children forever or just while I'm there?
While you're there.
Before he could finish, I dashed toward the front door.
Wait. Forever, he shouted. I stopped and turned back to him. Swear it. He went silent, and I shouted, "Swear it." "I swear," he replied. "Your soul is worth more than the naughty children's." "Say the full sentence as you swear," I demanded, my voice firm. Krampus narrowed his eyes, a mixture of annoyance and respect flickering across his face. Krampus smirked, a chilling grin that sent a shiver down my spine. "You're a bold one, Edward Newgate. I like that. Very well. I swear that I will not kidnap, drag, or torture any children while you are in the underworld, exchanging your freedom and peace for 3 months of torture, to save all the children that I had taken, and would take in the future, forever." "Wait. Torture is included?" I muttered in disbelief. "Of course," Krampus laughed maniacally. "Is it a deal?" he asked, extending his hand towards me. I pondered for a moment. 3 months. My dad will be worried sick. Not to mention my schedule will be a mess. Belsnickel finally freed his mouth and chimed in, "Your friends too. They will be depressed." I grabbed my chin, deep in thought. "All right, deal." I extended my hand for a handshake. Krampus cackled evilly, and just as our hands were about to touch, the entire room vanished. Belsnickel, the snowglobes, Krampus's giant form, the gingerbread man, everything was gone. What happened? I muttered in shock, spinning around. Then I noticed Gongshin standing beside a teenager with goat horns, both looking at me curiously. "I told you he would pass," Gongshin said, holding out his palm to the teenager. The teenager groaned, rummaged through his wallet, and reluctantly handed Gongshin $10. "He might be suicidal." "You don't know for sure." Gongshin grinned mischievously. "Even so, if he can consider sacrificing his own happiness to save a stranger's soul, then he has the qualities of an afterlife agent. We are a company of karmic forces, after all." Can anyone tell me what's happening?" I asked, stepping closer to Gongshin. "Ed, you already met him." "Krampus," Gongshin introduced the teenager beside him. "I don't want to stay," Krampus grumbled before vanishing in a puff of smoke. Gongshin laughed and said, "Ignore him. That guy is a sore loser." He then explained my ordeal and how it was necessary for them to test my character, but I wasn't convinced. "You guys were just using me for excitement, weren't you? Where is that old bearded Belsnickel? Is he even real?" I asked, exasperated, a tired smile on my face. Gongshin chuckled. "He is real. Edward, we can talk more later, but 5 hours have passed in the real world. This is the longest you've ever been in the afterlife. We should get to the session quickly, or you'll be pulled out of here without your present." We walked together to a nearby door. "Present? Not gacha draws?" I asked, confused. Gongshin stopped, turned toward me, and said, "Honestly, even if we charged you 1 million karma for the presents, would that be a problem?" "No," I replied, a hint of sadness creeping into my tone. "But then it won't be gacha." "Not quite." Gongshin opened the door, revealing a room overflowing with wrapped presents, tens of thousands of them. "Let's see. You broke 20 orbs, so you can pick out a maximum of 20 presents from the room," Gongshin explained. "You also have only 20 seconds, so be fast. Time starts now." Without waiting for more questions, I lunged into the room. Stacking 4 boxes together, I held the heavy presents with both hands and asked, "Can I put them outside first?" The stack was 3 meters tall, towering over me. "No. You only have 1 chance. Once you're out, it's over," he said casually. "Damn it." I cursed and quickly stacked 10 boxes together, shoving smaller ones into my clothes, even tucking a small rectangular box into my sock. 3, Gongshin began his countdown. I trudged toward the door, relying on his voice as my guide since I couldn't see anything. The boxes shook, becoming unsteady. 2. Gongshin counted again. I sprinted toward the door, but one present slipped from my grip and fell to the floor, the top one, shaped like a heart. 1. Gongshin said with a smile as I barely managed to get out of the room. All the presents tumbled to the floor,
but I made it out with the majority intact.
Good job.
You got 14 presents out of the room in time, Gongshin applauded me before adding, I forgot to tell you. Some of the boxes are empty, so you may gain nothing.
You did check to make sure there's something inside, right?
I was speechless for a moment, then mumbled, I didn't.
I guess we'll just see how your luck goes.
He smirked, and I was now sure he hadn't told me the rule on purpose.
Pick out a box and open it, he instructed.
I'll play some songs while you do.
Gongshin then played some instrumental holiday music in the background.
I picked up the small present that I had tucked into my sock and said, this has some weight to it. Slowly, I untied the green ribbon and opened the lid.
Inside, there was a locket with an inscription. Green quality gacha, Nezuko, ability to look cute while being muzzled. The quality of the gacha is ranked in ascending order: white, green, purple, red, and gold.
Each color represents a different level of power or rarity, with white being the lowest quality and gold being the highest.
Is the quality labeled using the ribbon color? I asked Gongshin.
I couldn't tell you, but since you guessed it, then yeah, Gongshin agreed easily. Oh, I will open the white ones first, I muttered as I walked toward a present with a peculiar wrapping that had pigeons on it.
After I opened it, I found a top hat inside.
White quality gacha, Rob Lucci, Pigeon's ventriloquism. Maybe I can try it out with Vader, I mumbled.
I decided to open all the green and white quality presents first, saving the red and gold ones for last.
White quality gacha, Lauren Lefranc, the Penguin series production and complete show memory. White quality gacha, Reinhard van Astria, Blessing of Mist, Mist does not hinder his view, talent category. Green quality gacha, Saintus Lua, special passive ability, Saint Halo, exorcising ghosts in a 200-meter radius. Purple quality gacha, Nero, perfect mechanical sensibility, increases total machinery affinity by x 1.4, the legendary mechanic.
When I opened the next box, it was empty. Gongshin snickered at me and said, that's why you should check first. I sighed and tossed the empty box aside. Still, I got a nice haul.
If you weren't nice this year, you wouldn't get to pick from the good pile, Gongshin remarked.
I nodded in understanding and opened another purple quality gacha.
Inside, golden and black eyes floated around, some dripping with what looked like blood. I picked it without thinking, but now I was worried it might not be good. Purple quality, Achihashir Sui, 1 Tomo Sharingan, ability.
Oh shit.
I turned to Gongshin, who wore a surprised expression.
Can I give this back? I don't even have chakra to use it.
With a worried expression, I handed the present box to him.
It's useless without chakra.
Just pray that you don't get any chakra or any other sort of internal energy, Gongshin said, holding his palm up as if to say he couldn't take it back.
Unless I used the shredder, I couldn't return it.
I sighed and opened another box adorned with flower petals.
Purple quality, Aino Yamanaka, Genin level chakra.
Fuck. I turned to Gongshin, my eyes filled with accusations. He shook his head immediately and said, no.
I really didn't plan this. Gongshin read the inscription and added, oh. You might still be fine. It's not regenerating chakra. It's just a Genin level chakra volume.
Without the chakra extraction technique, you cannot regain what you have lost.
I felt only slightly relieved. If the next box contains the extraction technique, then I will write a formal protest to the corporation, I threatened, even though I knew it was a meaningless threat.
You chose it, Gongshin mumbled under his breath.
Why are you blaming me?
I had 5 more boxes left, 2 red and 3 gold. I decided to open the red box first and was pleasantly surprised by what I found. Red quality gacha consumable, Fix It Felix, special skill, fixing, 3-time use.
Oh, this one is great. Shouldn't I have the hammer too? I asked.
Use any hammer you have, Gongshin replied.
Can I use this to fix my villa? I asked with an expectant smile.
Oh, but then people would be suspicious if it was restored so quickly.
Gongshin shook his head. The range isn't that big.
It can fix anything up to a car, but nothing larger.
Damn it. It's still a great prize, though, I muttered before picking up another red quality gacha. But it was empty inside. Or so I thought. As I flipped the box, a small piece of paper dropped to the ground. Red quality, knowledge, craftsman robot, Doraemon. Doraemon? So it's a gadget from the 22nd century? I was excited because Doraemon's gadgets were often considered black technology. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I was sure it was something good. Finally, it was time for the main prize. Hurry up, Edward. You have 3 minutes left, Gongshin reminded me. I nodded and said, first things first, I want a talent shredder. Which talent would you like to shred? He asked. Let's go with the expiry date. The other one says one true love, but that doesn't mean I can't still find love, right? I asked Gongshin for a hint, wondering if I was making the right choice. Okay. I'll deduct 1 billion karma for the exchange, Gongshin said. Thank you, I replied before opening my golden boxes. Gold quality gacha, knowledge, Hyperdyne Systems Model 120/2 Android, Wayland Yutani, Alien franchise. An android? Another piece of broken technology. I don't know if I'll ever get to the level to create these things, I mumbled before opening the next box. Inside was a book. Gold quality gacha, special ability, Teacher's Aura, 300% boost in student understanding when taught face-to-face, 150% if taught indirectly. I guess my community college course plan will be easier now, I said, tucking the book into my pocket. Nice. Now, the last one, I muttered in excitement before opening the final box. Black gold quality gacha consumable, Van Hohenheim, Philosopher's Stone level large-scale transmutation. Nice. I can build the Batcave without anyone noticing, I said excitedly, rubbing my hands together to remove imaginary dust. However, as I moved, I felt a small box hidden inside my clothes. Did something get in? I said, pulling a ring-sized box from my shirt. I opened it without checking the quality, as there wasn't much time left. Special consumable, one-time use, talent shredder. I was skeptical about my own luck as I read the prize. I don't even remember picking up that box, I muttered. But I was grateful regardless, considering I could remove both of the troublesome talents at the same time. Wait. Since both of them are removed now, does that mean my 2-year plan is useless? After some thoughts, I muttered, so Gongshin guessed right. I did get 14 prizes. After removing my negative karma and donating my positive karma, my session finally ended. Flashback. While Edward was stuffing a small circular box inside his t-shirt, the wind nudged the small box to fall from the top of the present hill. It bounced on several gifts before landing inside Edward's t-shirt without him knowing. Flashback ends. As I opened my eyes, I saw my grandmother sleeping on the chair next to my bed. Smiling softly, I looked around the room and saw Amy, Maggie, my dad, and Frankie standing around. Suddenly, I smelled something acrid, but the smell was fleeting. I quickly lifted up my blanket to check if I had peed myself. The sudden movement alerted everyone and woke up my grandmother. Edward! My dad called as he rushed to the bed. Why did I smell pee? I asked my dad before he could even say anything. My dad was startled and smiled wryly. Long story. Chapter 319, Christmas. Edward POV. Apparently, there was a huge storm while I was under. Even though it wasn't snowing, the temperature fell down to 10 degrees Celsius, which made it a cold Christmas morning in California. How many presents did you get this year? Amy asked as we all gathered around the Christmas tree, still wearing our pajamas. I don't know, I shrugged, estimating, 4 or 5. Damn it. I only got 3, Amy grumbled as she picked up one of her presents. I smiled and said, that's actually from me. Amy's excitement was palpable, though she pretended to be indifferent. I'm going to open this first. Maggie jeered from her spot next to us, aren't you both too old to be so excited about Christmas?
Amy immediately turned to her, anger flashing in her eyes.
Don't disrespect Christmas, Maggie.
Belsnickel didn't fight Krampus to save Christmas for nothing, I interjected, defending both Amy and myself.
What?
My dad, Frankie, Grandma, Grandpa, Vanessa, Maggie, and Caroline all looked confused.
Max whispered to herself, so that's why he floated.
Max didn't share what she had seen, still unsure if it was real. Even though she was beginning to believe, she kept it to herself.
Ed? What? My dad asked. Belsnickel who? Krampus who? Germany's Santa Claus, my grandpa replied.
I turned to him with a mischievous smile.
Oh, how did you know that, Grandpa? Did you perhaps have a liaison with a beautiful German girl during the war? Not German.
But there was an Italian girl, no. I did not. My grandpa almost blurted out his 60-year-old secret before stopping himself at Grandma's warning glare. Meanwhile, Amy opened her present and fumed.
Height growth fertilizer. What do you mean by this? Everyone laughed as Amy pushed the box against my cheek.
With a slightly muffled voice, I replied, "What?"
I was thinking about you.
Amy stood up abruptly, reading the box aloud. Instruction: bury your feet in soil before pouring the fertilizer beneath your feet. Stand in the sun for 3 days straight.
Repeat until success.
I stifled a laugh and said, "Yeah. It can guarantee 3 inches of growth."
You definitely need that. Grandma!
Amy ran to Jules with a choked voice and hugged her, begging for comfort.
Grandma scolded me, Edward, you shouldn't pick on Amy so much. She's sensitive, you know.
I shrugged.
The box is fake. The real present's inside. Amy perked up immediately and turned back to me. Really? Yeah. Open it. And it's not going to be fertilizer? I scoffed disdainfully. People are not plants. I should have given you science books instead. Amy held the box with an expectant smile.
She hummed cheerfully as she ripped the box to shreds as it was too hard for her to take off the tape.
Oh, it's an UGG. Thank you.
Mom wouldn't buy these things for me no matter how much I asked her. Amy thanked me and she immediately tried to wear the fluffy shoes.
Really?
She's the one who told me you'd like this, I said, picking up my present.
This feels like a book. Is it a book?
I glanced at the tag and turned to my dad.
Did you get me a book?
Open it, my dad urged, leaning forward to catch my reaction.
As I unwrapped it, I said, if this is another self-help book, I'm talking to Linda about you in therapy. It's not a self-help book. My dad scoffed. And you didn't need to throw that book away.
He was referring to the earlier book he had given me. I didn't throw it away, I regifted it to Claire, I replied casually. Oh, it's the Velveteen Rabbit. My excited smile turned to confusion as I stared at him.
Why?
Why, you said you wanted it when you watched Friends, so I got it for you. Why, you said you wanted to make it happen. I listened, and I made it happen, my dad defended.
Thank you, Dad. It's a nice gift, I said gratefully. Frankie chuckled and turned to my dad. I told you that wasn't it.
Then what did you mean when you said you wanted to make it happen? My dad asked curiously. Oh, Frankie meeting Paget Brewster. I want that to happen, I replied with a mischievous smile.
Why? Frankie looked confused. I paused for a moment before saying, because you both look exactly the same?
No, I don't see that, my dad said, shaking his head in agreement with Frankie.
Everyone murmured in unison, insisting she didn't resemble the actress. Okay, you're all insane. Frankie, I'm opening your present now.
It's a big box, and I've been holding myself back long enough. I reached for the gift and opened it to find numerous Naruto manga volumes, from 1 to 47, the English translated versions. Frankie smiled widely as she saw my excited face.
How is it? Do you like it? I love it, I replied. Tell me if my dad ever hurts you.
I'll terrorize him for you.
Hey! My dad protested, eliciting laughter from everyone.
My grandparents gave me a sweater, and Pepper gifted me a custom-made fedora from that little shop in Washington. I received a lot of presents from various people, but I didn't want to open them all at once this morning, or Amy would get jealous. Here, I said, handing Vanessa a present as she sat near the kitchen while Amy and Maggie fought in the living room.
Merry Christmas. Vanessa opened the gift bashfully. You shouldn't have.
Sorry I didn't wrap it. I didn't have time, I said, watching her take out the protein shake from the bag.
Vanessa looked at me in disbelief. Thank you for the protein shake?
I also didn't have time to shop for you, so I just picked something random from my room, I said mischievously. Vanessa scoffed and brushed her hair behind her ear.
Well, thanks anyway. Wait, you sent me a present to my house yesterday, right? Yeah. It's a bear onesie.
It's comfortable to sleep in if you're in a cold place. In California, not so much, more like a sweat vest.
It will be great to wear it this morning though.
I explained a bit about the present and tried to make her feel included in the holiday gathering.
Okay, everyone.
Remember, after breakfast, we're all going to go to the photo studio to snap a family picture. My grandma said excitedly.
We did that yesterday. Amy protested.
Yeah, that was for Christmas Eve.
This one's for Christmas Day.
My grandma explained to Amy affectionately. My dad asked after he received a text from Phil, Ed, what exactly did you give Alex and Haley?
Just some ordinary stuff.
Why?
I asked in confusion. General POV.
In the Dunphy house, Phil exclaimed excitedly, oh hey.
Edward gave me a yogurt maker.
Claire, looking exasperated, asked, why is he giving me a book on anger management?
I'm not that hot-tempered.
Luke chimed in, he gave me a Nerf gun.
Die monster die. He aimed it everywhere but hadn't shot anything yet. A gun?
Claire said, alarmed, recalling the chaos with the BB gun.
Phil laughed, don't worry, honey. Nerf guns are pretty safe.
Haley stood up, barely opening her present. I'm taking this to my room first.
Wait. Honey, let us see it.
It looks like a painting, Claire said, grabbing Haley's arm.
No, Mom. You don't want to see this.
Haley protested. Alex noticed a card in Haley's hand and read it aloud. I felt bad I couldn't draw you, so I asked a photographer to take this picture for me. He insisted I pose nude, so I went along with it.
Burn it after you see it.
Claire gasped, what?
Phil exclaimed, oh my God. Haley defended Edward, hugging the picture tightly. What?
Ed is just joking. There's no way he'd send me his nude picture, framed on a canvas.
Alex grinned, open it.
I want to take a picture and put it in the group chat. There's no way you're doing that. Claire and Haley shouted in unison.
Luke returned from his adventures with his new gun. Mom, I shot the lamp in the kitchen. It broke.
Ignoring that, Claire turned to Haley, you need to return this to Edward and tell him it's not okay.
Alex defended, come on, it's Edward. If he really wanted to prank us, he'd do it more privately.
Yeah, exactly, Haley chuckled, but Claire's stern look said it wasn't the first time something like this had happened.
Haley!
Claire scolded.
What?
Haley exclaimed, surprised. Alex suggested, to be sure, someone should open and check it on behalf of everyone.
I volunteer.
Haley raised her hand.
It's my gift, anyway. No. Claire interrupted her. Alex smirked, I guess it's me.
Phil, you do it, Claire decided.
Phil grimaced, really? I don't want to see Edward in his birthday suit. Edward is wearing a suit? Why is everyone acting like this is a big deal?
We've seen him in a suit before, Luke muttered, looking confused.
Phil.
Claire turned to Phil, frustrated.
He sighed and said, fine. I'll check it.
Haley tightened her grip on the frame.
No need, I already saw it. And? Phil asked. Haley sighed. I saw his head. Oh my god, Claire groaned. His penis? Alex blushed. Not that head. His face. Haley quickly clarified. Okay, this has gone on long enough. Luke stepped in, trying to grab the present. Give it to me, I'll look. No. Luke. Haley protested, but he tugged at the wrapping paper, accidentally tearing it. Edward's muscular torso was now visible, prompting Claire to cup Alex's eyes. It's real. Phil whispered, begrudgingly. Why is he sending this? Now the photographer has his picture. Claire realized the implications and worried for Edward. Oh my god, you're right. Haley grumbled, you guys. This is just my point of view. You're violating my privacy. There's no privacy here when you started sexting boys. Claire scolded. Alex added sarcastically, can we even call it sexting? It's more like a snail letter. Why is Edward wearing a skirt? Luke asked suddenly, staring at the painting. Huh? Everyone turned to the painting, noticing a yellow skirt beneath Edward's pecs. He's messing with us. Alex grabbed her mother's hand and pulled it away so they could see as Haley fully unwrapped the gift. The top half of the frame showed Edward's shirtless body, striking a cheeky pose that made Alex and Haley's hearts flutter. His hand was behind his head, looking coyly at the camera. Beneath it was a half-finished painting of a lady in a yellow skirt, standing on the beach in white heels. Hey, you can take off the top picture, Phil remarked. Really? Haley carefully removed it, wanting to keep it, and finally revealed the gift. It was a beautiful painting of Haley at the beach, her wavy hair glowing in the sun as she smiled brightly. She wore a simple one-piece yellow dress adorned with blue flowers that flowed gently in the ocean breeze. The background featured a soft blue sky with fluffy white clouds, and the golden sand stretched out beneath her feet. Gentle waves lapped at the shore, glimmering in the sunlight. Whoa, Phil exclaimed in amazement. It's a great painting, he added. Alex furrowed her brows at Haley and asked, why did he even draw this? Haley couldn't help but smile as she stared at the painting. Haley's commentary? He really had to ruin the romantic vibe by doing these sorts of things, huh? She held the half-naked picture of Edward up to the camera. Ugh. This guy. She turned the picture to face her and gestured as if she was going to punch him. Claire and Phil's commentary. Thank God it was what we thought it was, Claire breathed in relief. Phil chuckled and said, but it's amazing to see how we all played into his hands. It's a fine line he's treading. One of these days, he's going to mess up, and it'll blow up spectacularly, Claire added with a worried expression. Phil chuckled again and turned to Claire. Oh, honey. Now I see why he gave you the anger management book. Alex's commentary. Not that I feel bad that Haley got the gift and not me, but my boyfriend gave me a Sabbath album for my Christmas present this year. She shrugged. I don't understand why he would give me that. At no point in our relationship did we talk about the heavy metal band. Oh, and by the way, Edward gave me a book on cryptography and a puzzle. So that's going to be a fun game to play on the weekend, she added excitedly. Then, she included another picture. Also, he included this card of Gold Roger in his execution stand inside all of our presents. Nothing else. I have a feeling that it's a challenge, but I'm not so sure about it. Commentary ends. In an apartment in Pasadena, Leonard talked with Sheldon, who was in Texas, and showed him the card. Did you also get the card from Edward? Leonard asked. Yes. Sheldon replied curtly. I think it's an invitation to watch the anime One Piece. I am searching for the DVD now. Sheldon added. No need. He's going to have them on Netflix on the 31st. Leonard stopped him. I'm just curious. Why is he sending us these? Raj, Howard, even Penny got one. Amy got one too. I wonder what it is.
Sheldon said excitedly.
Is it like a clue card? Leonard guessed.
Jenna, Enid, Jacob, Phineas, Billy, Elsa, Abed, Annie, Troy, and 2/3 of the company staff got the cards.
But no one knew what it was for. Edward POV.
I had a great time with my grandparents and family members. In the afternoon, Uncle Jim and Aunt May came from Wisconsin, using my jet that I prepared for them to celebrate Christmas here with their daughters. When the day ended, my grandparents, my uncles and Amy all had to go back home to Wisconsin.
Amy sniffled as she sobbed, not wanting to go back home. Amy, you do need to understand.
Your dad has his work in Wisconsin.
He cannot just leave everything behind and move to California. Grandma tried to comfort Amy.
You're a big girl.
Why are you still crying about this? Maggie asked Amy, her own eyes glossy.
Amy didn't want to go back home, she felt friendless there. But Dad only works as an accountant, she whined.
I turned to Uncle Jim and asked, is that why you lost all your hair?
Yes, what?
No.
Uncle Jim protested, touching his balding head. And I will be bald too, Amy continued, tears streaming down her cheeks.
No.
Uncle Jim spun around, clearly stressed.
He then turned to my dad, jokingly asking, do you have any job openings at your work?
Amy's eyes lit up as she turned to her dad.
Really? Can we move here?
Well, your mom and I talked about it, Uncle Jim replied, but we haven't decided anything yet. Ah, Amy said, slumping her shoulders.
Grandpa chimed in, if you decide to move, don't go to Hollywood.
That place gives me the creeps. Or Beverly Hills.
That's where godless people live, Grandma added.
I could have offered Uncle Jim a job, but I left that to Pepper. We were expanding our company and needed a team of accountants.
Uncle Jim would be a good fit.
Max and Caroline were planning to head back home since they needed to drive the car to New York, but I stopped them.
Go home and work at the Gap again? I said, incredulous. I thought you were coming with me on my tour? I turned to Max. Max smiled slightly. I don't even have a passport. I can handle that. No problem, I replied.
Caroline realized something and turned to Max. If you're staying behind just for me, Max, you don't have to do that.
I'll be fine living alone in New York. No, Caroline. I don't want to go because there's nothing for me to do.
I'm just going to follow him around for nothing, Max argued.
You'll be part of my entourage. That's really important, I tried to convince her. Then I turned to Caroline. You, Miss Channing. You have an MBA? Caroline jumped at the opportunity. I graduated from Wharton, top of the class in 2009.
I speak French, Japanese, Korean, and I dabble in a bit of Spanish.
What is this, a job interview?
Max mumbled to herself. I've always been driven and resilient, qualities that have only strengthened after facing unexpected challenges in my life. My creativity shines through in everything I do, whether it's developing new business ideas or finding innovative solutions to problems. I thrive in fast-paced environments and love to collaborate with others to achieve common goals, Caroline added, her words flowing non-stop.
Now it really is a job interview, Max whispered, amazed at Caroline's rapid-fire speech. Stop.
I gestured with my hand for her to pause. I can't bring you with me on business deals, but I need an assistant manager to handle the procedures during the tour. Channing's family name carried some baggage, and I didn't want it to affect my negotiations later on. Caroline was well aware of this. She had been rejected from Wall Street, and many of her wealthy friends had turned their backs on her because of it. Everyone's expenses will be covered for 2 years, and once the tour is done, I'll write you a $250,000 check for both you and Max to open your cupcake store.
You'll have to work for it, though. Max, do you have any issues with that?
I asked, but she didn't respond. During those 2 years, I'll arrange for your horse to stay at my grandfather's ranch and give him the best care.
How about it? Do you want to work with me on the tour? You mean actually working, right?
I can even carry your luggage around if I can't do anything else, Max said, wary of taking advantage of me. She didn't want charity, especially from someone so close to her, which was causing her internal conflict.
Yeah, you can carry my luggage if you want.
And I definitely need someone to look after Vader, whom I'm bringing with me on the tour.
Max grinned. Oh, so I'll be like your cat sitter? Okay. I love that. I'll do it. Nice. I nodded, satisfied that Max agreed to come with me. It'll be fun. What about the car?
Caroline asked after Max pushed her away, trying to hug her.
You know what? I turned to Max. Call him. Tell him I want to buy the car from him.
You guys can use it as your car here.
Really? That beat-up old car?
Caroline looked incredulous. I've fantasized about beating that car with a bat thousands of times in the last 3 days.
Hey! Don't talk bad about Laura. She brought us all the way up here.
Max defended the car. The next day arrived, and I went to Haley's house in the morning. However, when I got there, Mitchell, Cam, Jay, Gloria, Manny, and Lily were also visiting and brainstorming.
Jay asked, "Hey, Ed. Let me guess.
Compare the scene on the card and the actual scene, and you'll get the clue for the next thing, am I right?"
I won't tell you about it, I shrugged. No hints. That's a yes.
Jay said excitedly.
I was correct.
At the very least, tell us what the card will lead to?
Mitchell asked slyly.
I looked at them, confused, and said, just open the card.
It's written inside. The card opens?
Phil muttered in shock, while I stared at all of them in disbelief.
I know everyone else might not see this, but even you, Alex?
I looked at her, disappointed.
Shut up. It was Christmas, so I didn't focus on the card.
Alex retorted as she tried to open it.
Chapter 320, Hill House Part 1. Edward POV.
I smiled as I watched them try to solve the quiz in the living room. Gloria ignored the quiz and played with Lily, while Manny and Jay worked hard together, standing by the fireplace mantel.
Is it origami? Cam whispered to Mitchell, acting as if everyone around was a competitor. Gold, Roger? Gold in the periodic table is O.
The atomic number is 79, Alex racked her brain alone, trying to make sense of the picture I used. Her instincts told her the picture played a role, which was accurate, however, her methods of deciphering the clues were not.
Atomic number?
Phil turned to Alex, wanting some clues.
The puzzle itself wasn't very difficult.
After they opened the card, they found a picture of a Christmas wreath on one side and a misdirection clue on the other, disguised as Christmas greetings. They needed to notice the thin layer of transparent film on the wreath, take it out, and then they would see a donut-shaped thin line on it, which they needed to place on top of the initial Gold Roger execution picture to reveal the coordinates for the prize. They were all very excited to solve the puzzle, but that made me feel disheartened.
How could I tell them that the top prize was already gone? Hey, Ed. Haley gleefully appeared from behind me. Thank you.
She immediately hugged me, wrapping her arms around my neck and placing her head on my chest. Then she grabbed my arm, clinging to it, and told her parents, Dad, Ed, and I will be in my room. Sure, honey, Phil replied dismissively.
Ed. Is it origami? Do I need to fold the card?
He turned to me, asking for help.
Cam flinched and turned toward me too, trying to get an answer. Not telling, I jeered. Damn it.
Phil cursed softly. Suddenly, Alex stood up from the couch and yelled, I got it.
Ignore them.
Let's go, Haley said, pulling me into her room while everyone else focused on Alex. I glanced at Claire and Phil and muttered, wow, they don't really care about you bringing a boy into your room. The stairs to the basement were finally completed. We entered through what used to be a closet in the hallway between the kitchen and the living room, then descended the stairs to Haley's room. This is just a Christmas miracle. When Mom realizes it, I'm sure she'll start checking on us every minute, Haley replied with a mischievous smirk.
Make sure to lock the door. When did you put a door here? I asked as she opened another door at the bottom of the stairs. Haley glanced at me and said coyly, yeah.
I told my dad I would be afraid if the space was open. In reality, I just want them to knock on the door first. I don't want them to waltz in here.
Yeah, you need them to knock in case they catch you, I trailed off, which made Haley curious. Catch me what? She asked. Lacking, I added, which left her confused.
The door opened to a lounge area between her studio and her bedroom. A single luxury couch and a coffee table were positioned beside it, creating a cozy nook for relaxation. It was intended to be a reading spot, but Haley figured she could add a TV there.
Come on. I want to show you where I hung the painting, Haley said, grabbing my arm and rushing me to her room.
Tada, she announced cheerfully as she revealed the painting hung above her bed.
Laughing slightly, I told her, that looks pretty great. You don't like it? She caught my subtle glances and turned hesitant.
I quickly shook my head and said, no, it's good.
It's just. The painting is too small to be the center of the room. Haley grumbled and turned to the painting. After scrutinizing it for a few seconds, she looked back at me and said, I don't see anything wrong with it. It's too small, I reiterated.
You should hang up more pictures, family pictures, with friends, and make it bigger.
Haley brightened and asked, is this your way of saying you want to put a picture of us there?
Maybe, I replied vaguely, then asked, by the way, when is the room going to be completed? Haley pouted and said, I could have moved in yesterday, but Dad wants to shoot the big reveal for the renovation, so I have to wait.
It won't take long.
You just have to decorate it, I said, looking around. The bed was already here, and the wardrobe was fixed. Only the little things, like decorations and curtains, were left. I pressed down on the bed and asked, is this the one from upstairs, or did your dad buy a new one?
The one from upstairs.
Only the frame is new, she replied.
Oh, what is the card about? She asked curiously as she sat on the edge of the bed and pulled me to sit next to her.
Just a treasure hunt, I replied casually.
Huh?
Haley looked confused. I shrugged and said, do you remember the picture after the missile exploded?
Yeah, the one where you and Vader are wearing sunglasses, Haley recalled.
What does that have to do with the treasure hunt?
For some reason, Dodge's market share spiked by 10% after the picture hit the internet.
I also had another viral photo of me sitting on the car, so I became kind of like a brand representative for them.
Yeah, so?
Haley urged me to continue.
What's the connection to the treasure hunt?
Hurry up. I chuckled a bit and said, anyway, Dodge began sending me free cars, the unreleased 2010 Dodge Viper and 3 more Dodge Challengers, each from different branches of the company.
They didn't even think to check with headquarters before sending me those.
A car?
Haley exclaimed, flabbergasted. The treasure hunt leads to 4 cars?
15 cars, I revealed.
Dodge wants me to keep using those.
Ford sent me their Mustang, Chevrolet sent me a Bumblebee, and for some reason, a billionaire who supports the president sent me a Bentley, but that was just a gift.
You gave those away?
Haley shouted, almost bewildered by my decision.
Of course not, I said casually, watching her expression deflate. I kept the nice cars.
But Ford gave me a 30% discount on their products, and Dodge did the same. Chevrolet offered a similar deal, and many more followed suit. So, I bought 5 of each and make them the treasure hunt prizes.
Haley was stunned for a moment, then she gave up trying to figure out my thought process.
How much did you spend? She asked.
Around $300,000.
She opened her mouth in shock but then sighed.
You realize your sense of money is broken.
It's fine. Most of it went to the company employees, I said with a sigh as I laid down on her bed.
Haley laid down next to me, turning to face me.
Wait.
Are the prizes gone?
I have 1 challenger left, I replied, pulling out my phone to show her the warehouse footage where I kept the prizes. Most of my employees are nerds, I mean introverts. They rather spend some time doing the puzzle rather than spending time with their family on Christmas.
Santa Monica? I got the address now.
Haley playfully sat up and wanted to rush to her family. Dad.
I got it. The warehouse was located an hour away. Oh no you don't.
I wrapped my arm around her waist and pulled her back onto the bed. Haley laughed out loud and said playfully, "Let me go.
I want to get the car."
Then you need to solve the puzzle," I added, wrestling with her on the bed. We ended up in an awkward position where she laid on top of me, face facing mine. Suddenly, she asked with an affectionate tone, "How long was I on your mind?"
I'm sorry?
What? I was startled by the way she asked that.
The painting, she pointed to the top of the bed. How long was I on your mind while you were finishing that? Honestly?
I grinned mischievously.
6 hours.
You filled my mind for 6 hours without any interruptions. I flirted a bit, and Haley moved her head closer to kiss my lips. I reciprocated the kiss, pulling her in tight. Suddenly, Claire descended the stairs, shouting loudly, "Haley!
We're going to Santa Monica. Do you want to come?"
Claire opened the door casually and walked straight into the bedroom to find us.
Haley was startled and quickly pushed me away, causing me to fall to the floor. Mom! The door wasn't locked?"
Haley stammered as she hurriedly fixed her hair. Claire stopped abruptly and stared at us silently for a moment. "What were you guys doing?" she asked, her tone cold. "Just a thank you kiss, you know, for the artwork," I replied easily, fixing my shirt as I stood up from the floor.
"So, you guys found the coordinate?"
I asked, trying to change the subject.
Claire snapped out of her daze and said, "Oh yeah. We found it. We're going there right now." "Mom! You better hurry.
There's only one prize left." Haley immediately went to her mother, urging her about the car.
"Wait, how did you know about it?" Claire asked, looking confused.
"You guys solved it through the card. I went straight to the source and seduced him for information."
"Go now, hurry before anyone else gets it,"
Haley urged, pushing her mother toward the door.
Claire turned around and said, "You're coming with me." "No.
It's better for me to get in Uncle Mitchell's car or Grandpa's. That way, I can feed them false information and make you guys get there first." Haley smirked. Claire was taken aback by Haley's scheme and kissed her forehead.
"That's great, honey. I'm counting on you."
Haley and Claire walked upstairs, and I muttered, "I feel used."
Curious about what would happen next, I followed them.
Phil, Luke, Claire, and Alex piled into one car and drove off hurriedly. Jay, Manny, and Gloria took their car, with Gloria driving madly, even hitting the neighbor's trash can as she raced through the streets. Mitch and Cam had to secure the baby's car seat first, and they were puzzled as to why Haley was following them.
"Why didn't you get in with your parents?" Mitchell asked, eyeing Haley suspiciously.
Haley replied casually, "Mom told me to get in and get information out of you guys."
"No. You're not getting in," Cam said immediately as he slid into the driver's seat.
"I'm sorry, Haley."
Mitchell quickly locked the door before she could open it. "Oh my God, are you guys really going to leave me?"
Haley pretended to be anxious as she pulled at the door handle.
"Sorry, honey.
We promise we'll make up for this," Cam said nonchalantly before he reversed the car.
"Cam!"
Haley shouted, but Cam drove away hurriedly. After everyone was gone, Haley turned toward me, standing by the door, and flashed a peace sign while sticking her tongue out to celebrate her success.
"Is there a possibility that they can actually get the car?" Haley asked as she walked back to the house.
I checked on the footage and saw that one of my game developers had claimed the last one.
Nah.
They can still get $50 gift cards though, if they go there.
Haley grabbed my hand and pulled me inside the house. "Great. We have at least 3 hours before they get back. What do you want to do now?"
Even though she was hinting with her eyes, I had actually made some plans that morning.
"Do you want to go to the haunted mansion with me?" I asked. Haley looked slightly taken aback and replied, "Where?" "Sorry. Not a haunted mansion, just a mansion. You know, the one I want to buy, I explained. I couldn't find the owner, so I asked my friends in the NSA for help. They said I can meet the owner today, so I'm going there.
Oh, Haley exclaimed, her disappointment evident. Then she remembered that I had invited her.
Oh. Okay. Let's go there. I want to see it too. Cool.
I smiled slightly, and Haley returned the smile, clearly pleased by my expression. We split into two groups as we drove there, Frankie, Max, Caroline, and my dad in one car, while Maggie, Haley, Vanessa, and I rode in another. You guys didn't have to come, I said, glancing at Maggie, who sat next to me in the car. What else could we do? She had called shotgun. Maggie took out her digital camera from her bag and said, I wonder if I can record any paranormal activity with this. Vanessa leaned forward, her eyes wide. This seems like the beginning of a horror movie. Can you just drop me off right here? I want to get out of the car. Haley laughed and chimed in, if this is the beginning of a horror movie, who do you think will die first? Maggie thought for a moment and said, usually, it's the popular cliques first. So either you or Vanessa. What about Edward? He's more popular than us, Vanessa protested. Let him die first. I smirked and replied, usually, the heartthrob gets saved until the end. Both Vanessa and Haley rolled their eyes at me. Not if he's part of the horny couple. They usually die first, Maggie interjected. I nodded, acknowledging her point. That's true. Only the alternate girl, the kind-hearted one, the outsider of the group, will survive. All of us won't make it, Maggie added. Maggie, you kind of will survive, I said, turning to her. Huh? Me? So I'm kind-hearted? Maggie asked bashfully. No, they'll just think you're one of them when they see you without makeup, I teased. Maggie shot me a glare while Vanessa and Haley laughed. We won't stay there until it's dark out, right? Vanessa asked worriedly. I fell into disbelief and replied, it's 12 in the afternoon. If it gets dark, I'm going to take the car and leave, Vanessa threatened. Relax. We'll have some fun there, I said dismissively. Put that on your tombstone when you get killed by a headless ghost. Vanessa grimaced. I didn't know you were superstitious, Haley said, giggling with Vanessa. We're here, Maggie announced as we drove up the hill. What's the name of the hill again? She asked. It's called Wildflower Hill, but the locals call it Whispering Pines. That's a pretty dope name, I smirked as I navigated the dilapidated road. Okay, I need to go back. Turn the car around, Vanessa begged as the trees grew thicker, blocking out more sunlight. We can't make a U-turn here. The road is too small. We have to drive all the way up to turn around, I replied casually. I should make a new road once the process is settled. Suddenly, a furry figure jumped in front of the car. I slammed on the brakes, jolting the vehicle forward. My dad's car nearly collided with mine, and he yelled from the window, Edward. What is it? Don't know. Maybe a dog. I shouted back, rolling down my window. We continued on as if nothing had happened, finally arriving in front of the mansion. The estate featured a stunning facade of dark stone and weathered wood, giving it a gothic yet regal appearance. Towering spires and intricate ironwork adorned the roof, while gargoyles and ornate carvings lined the entrance. Lush, overgrown gardens surrounded the property, with twisted trees and dense foliage creating an air of mystery. Winding pathways led to hidden nooks, where statues and fountains lay shrouded in shadow. Oh my God! This place is giving me the creeps, Maggie exclaimed, taking in the mansion. We can't get through the front gate, I said, stopping the car in front of the black iron gate. I got out to wait for my contact. Blackthorn Estate was rumored to be haunted, with whispers of ghostly apparitions and unexplained phenomena. The library, with its towering shelves filled with dusty tomes, was said to be a hotspot for paranormal activity. The place looks surprisingly in good shape. You said it was dilapidated, Haley remarked as we got out of the car. Maggie filmed the surrounding area and said, "Ed, if you shoot a horror movie here before you gut it down, it could be really successful.
You can be the main actress.
You just need to stay here for a month," I told Maggie.
Main character? Maggie exclaimed in disbelief. But it's haunted.
She was distressed and overwhelmed with indecision. Suddenly, we heard a loud bang coming from inside the manor.
We all turned toward the mansion at the same time. After a moment of rattling, the manor grew quiet again.
Wee, Vanessa stammered, and I teased her by making police car sounds. Wee.
Shut up. Vanessa shot back, blushing. We need to get out of here. Whatever is inside isn't very welcoming to visitors. Caroline approached me and asked, "Sir, why do you want to buy this place? There are lots of mansions for sale in Bel Air,
Beverly Hills, Hollywood. It's not cost-effective to rebuild the entire place."
Max turned to Caroline and asked, "Why are you calling him sir?" "Yeah. Just call me Edward." I echoed, equally confused by Caroline's sudden formality.
Caroline wasn't embarrassed and said, "I mean, he is our new boss."
As a more experienced person dealing with tremendous wealth. You mean the money your dad scammed from the people? Max interrupted her to tease.
"Well, I still grew up rich," Caroline replied with a smile. She turned to me and said, "Buying properties in these neighborhoods, Bel Air, Beverly Hills, will be much better than buying this hill. In terms of value alone, you can double what your house is worth in just 10 years if you buy it at a strategic location."
"Caroline, shut up," Max whispered to her. "You don't want to get fired on the first day."
My dad and Frankie laughed after hearing Caroline's words.
Frankie then said to Caroline, "We already know all of that."
"But Edward is a sucker for a good deal," my dad added.
We should eat first. Casey is running a little late," I said as I opened the car trunk and took out some sandwiches I had prepared.
There were also folding chairs in my dad's car, which we set up by the car for a little picnic. Suddenly, we heard the banging coming from inside the house again. Crows flew out of the mansion's window, causing Vanessa and Haley to get closer to me. It seems that my passive skill is working, I thought secretly.
So, there is a ghost?
Well, there is an elder god using my credit card to shop online, so I guess I shouldn't be startled by it.
Around 2 in the afternoon, a black van pulled into the estate's driveway.
It stopped behind my car before Casey stepped out of the driver's seat. Without saying much, he walked to the passenger door and opened it. 6 people were crammed inside the van, all with bags over their heads and their hands tied with zip ties.
"Move," Casey told them gruffly. Startled, I immediately walked over to him. "Casey, what the fuck? Did you kidnap them?"
Casey took off the bag from the oldest one of the bunch, introduced him to me. "This is the dad.
He's the owner. These are his children.
They are leverage, in case he doesn't want to sign off on the property transfer contract." That wraps up this part of What If Karmic Gacha System in Modern Family World.
Thanks so much for listening.
As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well.
See you in the next one.